This is Goss's Garage with Pat Goss, co-host of PBS's Motor Week. He'll take your calls and comments now at 844-885-4677 or email him at radio@goss-garage.com. And now, Pat Goss.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Goss's Garage. Now, gotta tell you, I've done it again. I've pissed off a bunch of you self-righteous, think-you-know-it-all car people, but then I seem to have a knack for doing that lately. Like David, who called my story about using the proper oil pathetic. He says, and I quote, "Good, better, best? Are you kidding? If an engine block is made of iron, you use conventional. If the block is aluminum, you use synthetic." Well, that's so utterly ridiculous that I thought it was a prank. But he was serious and called me pathetic. There actually are 3 general quality levels of engine oil, and they have nothing to do with what metal the engine is made of. Conventional, which is good, synthetic blend, which is better than conventional, and full synthetic, which gives the best protection. Good, better, best. Although he was totally wrong, he was nasty and disrespectful. Oh well. Then there were the folks who are in love with the oil that begins with AM, who showed all kinds of hate because I didn't use a bottle of their oil. Hey, AM oil people, do you really think nasty comments and threats will make me recommend your oil in the future? I guarantee it won't. Oh, and let's not forget those nasty, non-thinking people who trashed my tire rotation video. What a mess. Seems I'm an idiot. I'm a moron, fool, fake, and a criminal. A criminal? Really? Come on, folks, it's just tire rotation. There is an old myth about tires that says you can't switch a radial tire from one side of the car to the other side because the tire will turn in the opposite direction, which will cause it to blow out and possibly kill you. A nut job even said I ought to be put in jail for endangering people's lives. Anyway, about that myth. It started back in the 70s when Firestone had an issue with internal corrosion of the steel belts in one of their tire models. The belts corroded and ultimately caused tire failure, but because rotating the tires did cause the already weakened belts to separate more quickly, most people assumed rotation was the cause. Although this myth has been proven wrong time and time again, it still lives on in the minds of drivers and technicians alike. But it's false and always has been false. It was a tire issue, not a rotation issue. So, if you want to get the longest life out of your tires, rotate them using the modified X pattern every 6,000 to 7,500 miles. On front-wheel drive cars, move the right rear to the left front, the left rear to the right front, and the 2 fronts move to the back, but on the same side of the car. The rear-wheel drive pattern is simply reversed. No, this is not my idea. It's from the people who make tires. So use your brain. Think about it. If rotation causes huge numbers of tire failures and kills people, do you really think tire manufacturers would recommend it? Yeah, I didn't think so. All this insanity begs 2 questions. Why is common sense no longer common? And when did people become so damn mean and hateful? For more car tips, tricks, and money-saving ideas, check out goss-garage.com. Ah, yes. Been an interesting week. Well, keep in mind that the things that I tell you on these tips and things like that they come from a lot of years of experience and from a lot of cars that come through the shop and a lot of reading, because I read a minimum of 2 hours a day on the automotive subjects that I cover. So I don't take these things lightly. And I also don't like being called all these names and so on, especially by people that really don't have the experience or know what they're doing. And most of the people who do have experience, they don't treat me like that, I guarantee you. But anyway, that's whining. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Kevin Ansell. He's an advanced technical service engineer at 3M, and he's got some points for us about maintaining our cars. Coming up here on Goss's Garage.
Stay tuned. Pat will take your calls next at 844-885-4677. That's 844-885-GOSS. Goss's Garage continues in a moment.
Life changes at a ferocious pace these days, especially when it comes to maintaining our cars. For example, automatic transmissions now need regular fluid flushes. Transmission fluid breaks down with use, and although it may look fine, its additives wear out and it can no longer properly protect bands, clutches, seals, and other hugely expensive parts inside your transmission. Bottom line, more wear and a shorter transmission life. Now you can significantly extend transmission life with a BG transmission flush every 24 to 30,000 miles or 2 years. BG makes the best transmission flush machine I've ever tested. It renews all of the fluid in your transmission, not just a small part of it. The BG transmission flush machine is safe too, because it uses the natural circulation of the transmission. Your transmission will work better and last longer. As with everything BG offers, this is a superior service. For more information, go to bgprod.com or bgfindashop.com. Don't fall victim to "it looks good, therefore it must be good." Like when thump bump you're tapped by another car at a traffic light or in a parking lot. You get out and look, and being a good person, yeah, right. You just don't want the hassle of calling the cops and your insurance company. Plus, you don't even see a scratch, so you let it go. That could be a minor to deadly mistake. What you see is purely cosmetic, but hidden behind the cosmetics are safety systems. Those hidden parts absorb and dissipate energy, and they may have been damaged in that tiny bump. The problem is that unless you have energy absorbers and crumple zones checked, they may not protect you if your car is hit again in the same spot. Most safety parts are one-time use, and that first minor bump may have used up a portion of their effectiveness. Then, in an actual accident, they're only partially effective. For instance, the energy absorber may transmit more of the crash energy into the car and the people in the car. That could mean the difference between no or minor injuries or something worse, especially for young or elderly passengers. Even in bumps that seem like a total non-issue, take a minute to exchange information, then have the safety parts behind the bumper checked. It might save a life.
This is Goss's Garage with Pat Goss. Call the show now at 844-885-4677. That's 844-885-GOSS. And now, Pat Goss.
Folks, make sure to subscribe to the Goss's Garage radio show on YouTube, where you can find tips and tricks to save you time and avoid headaches. All right, welcome back, everybody. We are now joined on the line by Kevin Ansell. Kevin is an advanced technical service engineer at 3M in the automotive aftermarket division. Kevin, welcome to Goss's Garage.
Hey, Pat, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Hey, I don't know about in your part of the country, but here, winter has had this last gasp where we've had ice and a little bit of snow and so on, but lots of salt and stuff. And I was noticing in my car, at least, the mats and everything, I've managed to track that powdered salt and stuff into it, and in general, it's a mess. I understand you have something that might help me with that?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really easy to take care of the exterior of your car whenever you're driving through salt and snow and everything like that. You can just wash your car. But on the interior and the carpets, the salt just tends to linger around, and it's really difficult to take that out. So we came up with a new product. It's our 3M foaming salt remover, and it's an aerosol product that really easy to use. You just spray it on the targeted areas on your carpets and floor mats. Spray it on there and just let it soak there for a little bit, and then it'll break apart a lot of those salt particles, lift them up to the surface, and then you can just use a towel or a rag and wipe it right up.
Ooh, that sounds like a neat way to do it because, here in the shop, we use the vacuum and all that stuff, and it really doesn't seem to do that much good, and it sounds like this is a better way to do it.
Right. You no longer need to use warm water or vinegar or whatever solution you've been doing for a while. This one, you just spray it on, let it sit there for a couple minutes, and you can pick it right up.
Okay. Now, one of the reasons to do this, of course, is if you leave the salt in the carpeting, over time, it'll attack the fibers and so on, and can cause deterioration of the carpeting itself.
Absolutely. And then if the salt is lingering around too long, if it gets wet and then soaks down below the carpet, then you can have corrosion and rust issues there too. And you don't want that. You don't want to have that.
No, really? I thought that was a good thing because that gave you an alternate way to stop the car. Stick your feet through the hole.
Yeah, it could be like the Flintstones.
Right, exactly. All right. Now, you gave us the steps and what to do. Does this work only on salt, or are there other stains that it'll work on as well?
Yeah, mostly just on the salt. It was designed as a salt remover, and if you have any coffee stains or anything like that, you'd probably want to switch to a more aggressive cleaner. But it's perfect for salt and dirt. It'll make cleaning up really easy.
Okay, now will it work on anything other than car mats? Suppose you track salt into the house. Would it work there too?
Absolutely. You can use this on carpet, in your car, in your house, or even on the upholstery on your seat. Any surface on the car where you have some salt that is collected there, you can clean that up real good. If you happen to spray it on any leather or have any overspray there, you can just wipe that up with a rag as you're going, just so you can get that nice and clean too.
Now, this sounds like a really neat product. Where can our listeners and viewers find it?
Yep, you can find this product at your local Napa Auto Parts store, and you can also find it online at Amazon.com.
Oh, Amazon or Napa. Okay. Now, Kevin, the other thing, I don't know how in-depth you are in 3M auto products. I know that over the years on one of my other shows, Motor Week, we've had some demonstrations and so on. People come out and so on. I've always been impressed with the 3M line of products. Are there other products that would be available to folks, to the motoring public that you would know about that we might recommend for spring?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a full line of products at 3M that you can use on any different project that you're working on, from abrasives, tapes, and body fillers for body repair, as well as headlight restoration kits so that you can restore your yellow and hazy headlights so you can see better when you're driving at night, as well as many appearance products to help keep your car look its best. We have our waterless wash and wax product that we just came out with. Foaming bug remover is another new one that we just came out with, as well as many interior and exterior cleaners for your car.
Okay, well, foaming bug remover, that sounds like something here. See, we're right outside of Washington, D.C. in Maryland, and when the weather starts to change, the bugs come out in force, and sometimes it's almost like driving through rain. You go through spots where there's just bugs galore, and trying to get them off
Absolutely.
is a real problem. So
Absolutely. With this product, it's another foaming product. You spray it on the area wherever the bug is, and the chemical will eat away at the bug, making it softer so you can just wipe it up again. Similar concept with the foaming salt remover.
okay. Well, Kevin, I want to thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Can you give the viewers an idea where to get more information, website, and so on?
Absolutely. You can find more information about 3M products at our website. It's at 3mauto.com. And you can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at 3M Auto.
Okay. Well, Kevin, I really appreciate you joining us, and I thank you very much.
Very good. Thanks, Pat. Have a good day.
Okay. Take care. All right. That was Kevin Ansell from 3M Automotive Aftermarket Division. And let me tell you, they have a lot of really good products. We've done segments with them on Motor Week over the years and so on, and some pretty impressive things and time savers and so on. All right, let's see. We have Jim. Rented lips again, folks. I got to get a better place to rent the lips. Jim from Gainesville, Virginia. Welcome to Goss's Garage.
Thank you, Pat.
Yes, what can we do for you?
I've got a 1990 Chrysler New Yorker Fifth Avenue with an electronic instrument cluster. And when I was driving it, I got a strong burning smell behind the instrument panel, and the electronic instrument cluster goes completely blank. Now, the car will start and drive and run and drive, but of course there is no information whatsoever on the instrument panel. And I'm wondering if this is a known problem, or what do you think it may be?
Well, there are a lot of different possibilities. No, I haven't seen that many electronic cluster failures on Chryslers. The GM trucks are the ones that we normally see. Probably every third one that comes in the shop has something wrong with the instrument cluster. Chrysler, not so much. Now, the thing of it is here, this may be, because the burning odor, it may be in the cluster itself, or it may be in the power supply leading to the cluster. So the thing that you're going to have to do here is to get up under the dash, or get somebody up under the dash, and look to see where the burn is. If there's a burn in the wire harness or something, you're golden, because then it's just a matter of unplugging the harness and repairing it. But if there's no signs of any kind of overheating or anything anywhere in the harness or the wire connectors or anything like that, then you're going to have to pull the cluster out and have it checked and possibly have it either replaced or overhauled.
Mm-hmm. And the power supply is probably up behind the panel. Would that be correct?
Yeah, they do different things. Some of them, they put a power supply right on or in the instrument cluster. Others, they take a feed off of the power that supplies the onboard computers and things like that. There are varying ways that they do it. So, but the big thing is, and the way we go about doing this, because you can't see that much up under the dash, we use a borescope, which has a flexible end on it and a little teeny camera in the end of this flexible end, and you can go up under the dash or around an engine or wherever you need to see something that you can't get yourself contorted in the right angle to see, and you can move it around the wire harnesses and so on, and you'll have a screen that you look at, and you can watch it right on the screen.
Yeah, that looks That looks like the ideal way, I would think, yeah.
Yeah, it saves...
It is difficult. It is difficult up behind that panel.
Oh, yeah, and the borescope saves so much time on problems like that. And over the years, they have come down in price so that a rudimentary one is almost priced for do-it-yourself. Used to be, even the basic ones were $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. Now you can buy basic ones for sometimes under $100.
Yeah, that might be a possibility.
Yeah. So.
Anyway, Pat, thank you for the information.
Okay, I hope it helps, and I hope it's something minor.
So do I. Thanks a lot.
Okay, take care. All right, folks, we have to take a quick break. Remember the number, 844-885-4677. Love to talk to you. Give me a call. We'll be right back with more car stuff right here on Goss's Garage.
Stay tuned. Pat will take your calls next at 844-885-4677. Goss's Garage continues in a moment.
How quickly we forget. We're right back to using short-term logic to make long-term purchases. There's a huge increase in sales of big, thirsty vehicles. Trucks, SUVs, and other vehicles with dismal gas mileage are selling like hotcakes. Yes, they're wonderful, but can your budget support such a thirsty beast when gas prices go back to $4 a gallon? Did you plan on that? On the plus side, if you're considering a thrifty car, you might get a real deal. With so many drivers ignoring reality, there are more hybrid and plug-ins in stock. Traditionally, hybrids have not been a great deal because when gas prices are sky high, everyone wants one, which pushes their prices up, sometimes so high that you might have to pay over window sticker to get a hybrid or a plug-in. But higher purchase prices mean it can take years to break even through savings at the pump. It has taken many drivers so long to break even that trade-in time came before they broke even. But cheaper gas zaps hybrid demand, and less demand can mean a better deal. So if you've been thinking about an economy car, now might be the time. That's using long-term logic to buy a long-term product. That's smart. Life changes at a ferocious pace these days, especially when it comes to maintaining our cars. For example, automatic transmissions now need regular fluid flushes. Transmission fluid breaks down with use, and although it may look fine, its additives wear out and it can no longer properly protect bands, clutches, seals, and other hugely expensive parts inside your transmission. Bottom line, more wear and a shorter transmission life. Now you can significantly extend transmission life with a BG transmission flush every 24 to 30,000 miles or 2 years. BG makes the best transmission flush machine I've ever tested. It renews all of the fluid in your transmission, not just a small part of it. The BG transmission flush machine is safe, too, because it uses the natural circulation of the transmission. Your transmission will work better and last longer. As with everything BG offers, this is a superior service. For more information, go to bgprod.com or bgfindashop.com.
This is Goss's Garage with Pat Goss. Call the show now at 844-885-4677.
All right, folks, for more information on today's topic or any topic about buying, repairing, or selling an automobile, visit goss-garage.com or call our 24-hour listener line at 844-885-4677. All right, now, some of the things that have been coming in. This one is from Greg. My wife has a 2008 Ford Expedition, 5.4 liter, 60,000 miles in pristine condition. But it has an intermittent issue in which the traction control indicator light on the dash panel comes on. When driving, under dry, normal conditions, at varying speeds. She pulls over, shuts the engine off, starts it back up, and the light goes off. The car will perform normally for a few weeks before the light comes back on. Have taken it into Ford dealership twice. In one case, the shop said it could not repeat or detect an issue. Well, there is a thing that you do there. In the second case, last month, the shop noted they found and cleared the error code. Why would they clear the error code? Who the heck knows? Why would anybody do that? That is your telltale. That is the trace. That is the smoking gun. That is everything that tells you what to do next. Clear the code? Okay. We know that it's an intermittent problem, so we know the code isn't likely to come back immediately because we already knew that it wasn't a hard failure. So they cleared the error code. They said if the issue continues, the traction control module would need to be replaced. Estimated cost of the part, $1,700. Oh, man. You know, I get so sick of these things coming in from, especially from dealerships. You know, I don't know what it is, but if it comes back, we're going to replace blankety blank. It's $1,500, $2,000, whatever number of dollars. Don't know what it is. Can't prove it, but that's what we're going to do. And why is it always the most expensive thing? Well, anyway, as far as a problem like this is concerned, let's say there wasn't a code. In this case, there was, so the code told them what test to perform to go through this go, no-go test sequence. It's a diagnostic tree. We come here, we test this. Does it pass or does it fail? If it passes, we go over here. If it fails, we go down here. And then it just keeps branching off like the branches of a tree. That's why it's called a diagnostic tree. And that sequence walks you through all of the possible causes of that code. One at a time, you eliminate the causes until you come up with the one that fails. And that's what you replace. You don't guess and say, oh, well, we're going to put the most expensive part in it and see if that works. So the code doesn't tell you what to replace. It simply tells you what test sequence to follow to find out. But you don't, on an intermittent problem, you do not erase the code. Well, you could mark it down and erase it, but you have to keep a log of it so you know what test to perform. So as far as Greg is concerned, I think it would make sense to find a shop where they know this proper procedure. All right, from E-Man, I see comments all the time, things like, I hear a tap, and then someone else says, run 20 W50 oil. Okay, well, that, my friends, could be disastrous. Because there's a noise in an engine, doesn't mean that you want to change to a thicker oil. You stop and think about it. You've got maybe a bad valve lifter that's going to cost $300 or $400 to replace. You say, well, maybe I can put this goop in it or that goop in it or some other kind of stuff, or I can change to a thicker oil. Well, all right, what are we doing here? We're going to put a thicker oil in it. The thicker oil may cause wear to the bearings and other parts of the engine. So instead of a $400 fix, at the end of the day, you wind up damaging the engine, and now you've got a $4,000 fix. Now, granted, once you have diagnosed the problem and you know exactly what the problem is, then it might make some sense to go to a thicker oil. But it doesn't make sense until you know what's going on and whether or not you're going to damage something that is much more expensive by changing oil types, the thickness of oil and stuff like that. So, I see this stuff all the time, and any kind of a noise in the engine, oh, we got to put thicker oil in it. Well, we see cars that come in here all the time, nothing but a bad cam follower or rocker arm or something like that. Very, very minor stuff. And yet people will put this 2050 oil in and stuff like that. And they got the variable valve timing all screwed up and check engine lights on and all sorts of things. And the problem is still there. You haven't fixed anything. So the time that you change to this thicker oil is when you know that, well, maybe it's a connecting rod bearing and the engine is terminal. All right, you don't have the $4,000 to put a new engine in it right now, so you want to nurse it along. So maybe you put thicker oil in it, which will help close the gap between that worn bearing and the crankshaft. And maybe you can prolong the agony for a while. Something like that, it might make sense. But just because there's a noise in the engine, you don't go to a thicker oil. So just something that you should be aware of. All right, we need to take another break. We'll be right back here on Goss's Garage.
Operators are standing by to take your call for Pat at 844-885-4677. Goss's Garage continues in a moment.
Think you'll get a deal buying a used car from an individual instead of a dealer? Possibly, but there's a good chance you'll get taken if you wind up dealing with a curbstoner. Curbstoners are low-life scum who buy cars with problems, cobble them together, roll back the miles, make them look good, and resell them. They usually claim the car belonged to a friend or relative, and there's a sad story about a death, financial woes, illness, or other tragedy. If you buy from one of these crooks, you'll probably get a great-looking car, but in poor mechanical or body condition at a slightly lower price. But you won't get a warranty or a good, reliable car. Curbstoner cars are often so bad they only have scrap value. There are curbstoner cars all over the internet, in nearly every shopping center and sitting along the road. Total loss, flood cars are a curbstoner favorite because there are tens of thousands of them, and they're easy to disguise. So when buying off the street, question everything. When was the title issued? Is it in the seller's name? Does it show the seller's proper address? Is it from another state? Of course, always have a shop check any used car and get a Carfax vehicle history report before paying a dime. Curbstoners are crooks who will happily steal your money. So be really careful. I get lots of questions about BG products, many about specific products or services like, is BG44K really that good, or are BG transmission, cooling system, and power steering flushes actually necessary? But most popular of all, do I use BG products in my cars? Well, the answer to all of those questions is yes. A regular schedule of BG flushes and chemicals will deliver the longest possible life from all the lubricated and fuel delivery parts on your vehicles. And do I use BG products? You bet I do. I drive nice cars, and I drive a lot. Plus, my live radio and TV shows mean that my cars have to be absolutely reliable. A no start from dirty fuel injectors or a failed transmission just isn't acceptable in my life. Remember, deposits and dirty fluids ruin expensive parts. For reliability like I demand, visit one of the quality shops that sell BG products and perform BG services. To find a BG professional near you, bgfindashop.com.
Now, back to Goss's Garage with your host, Pat Goss.
Folks, make sure to subscribe to the Goss's Garage radio show on YouTube, where you can find tips and tricks to save you time and avoid headaches. All right, let's go back to our comments and so on. Every time I do anything regarding oil, I get all of these recommendations, and of course, like in the intro of today's show, get called all kinds of names because you don't show a particular product or something like that. Really ridiculous stuff. Anyway, AW says, I've noticed some manufacturers are still listing engine oil viscosities based off of expected ambient temperatures, which still uses the older traditional thinking of using thicker oil during summer in the hot conditions and heavy-duty severe uses. On the other hand, it seems you're bringing up the recent widespread use of the SAE viscosity 0W20 and directly addressing the technician recommendations to run thicker oil than specified, i.e. use SAE 5W40 instead of manufacturer's recommended 0W20. Well, yeah, that is exactly what I'm saying. If the owner's manual says that it's okay to do that, if the owner's manual recommends that, if there is a technical service bulletin issued by the manufacturer that says to do that, by all means do it. But just to take a technician who changes oil and doesn't know a damn thing about oil engineering or any of the other things, and take that advice to put thicker oil in because this person doesn't know anything about oil, and oh, well, it's at 0.20 and that stuff is so thin. Well, it's what the manufacturer recommends. And yes, for those of you who want to say that the only reason to put 0W20 or 5W20 oil in a car or recommend it is because of fuel economy. Well, sure, there is a little bit of a benefit in fuel economy from going to a thinner oil, but believe me, if these problems, or if these oils were a problem and causing engines to fail and so on, manufacturers put warranties on these engines. And if they're recommending a too thin oil, then the engines are going to fail. And they're going to have to take care of it under warranty. And that costs a lot of money. So, you know, all of these arguments that are so ridiculous. Number one, as far as using different oil, winter and summer, extremely rare these days. If you're talking about the owner's manual of a car from 20 or 30 or 40 years ago, yes, very typical. But in the last 10 to 15 years or so, not much has a different specification. They have one type of oil, maybe 0.20, maybe 5.20, maybe 5.30, who knows, whatever it happens to be, and some of them are thicker than that. But the fact of the matter is, most cars have one oil viscosity recommendation, and that is year-round, all temperatures. And, of course, like I say, there may be some older cars, and there may be some newer cars, but that definitely is not the norm. It is the exception. So, yes. Man, did my computer blow up from the video on oil viscosity. DD says, hey, I have a 2003 Envoy 4.2 six-cylinder with 115,000 miles, no leaks, no oil burning, maybe at the first start of the day a little white smoke, very little. Remember one thing, when we talk about smoke, when you start a car, there's going to be some steam. Well, it's not steam, it's water vapor. How do you tell the difference between smoke and water vapor? Well, water vapor comes out of the tailpipe and maybe moves a little bit up into the air and just dissipates. Smoke, on the other hand, hangs in the air. As it moves away from the car, it just kind of hangs in the air, may spread out and become less noticeable, but it stays in the air for a long period of time until it spreads out enough that you can't see the particles of that smoke. So water vapor goes away very quickly. Smoke hangs in the air. All right. Dee Dee says, the guy before me changed the oil with conventional for its whole life. GM or AC Delco oil. Should I just keep it the same until I see a leak? Yeah, it's worked for 115,000 miles. You know, why would you want to do something different? Are you hoping that it doesn't work? I don't know. But yes, that's what you do. You stick with something that has proven itself. And I don't know if your driving style is going to be different than the original owners. If it is, then you may want to switch to a synthetic or something like that for more protection. Remember that there are 3 levels of oil: good, better, best. Conventional is good. It'll keep an engine running for a reasonable period of time because you good protection. But synthetic blend is better, and full synthetic is the best. And in many cases, when we're talking about oils, some of the things that they do, one of the primary things is to keep metal parts from touching one another through use of a thin film of oil. Well, there is a shear factor, and that shear factor is how much pressure it takes to squeeze that oil from between those 2 moving parts. Now, why is that important? Well, think about it. You're going up a hill. You need to pull out and pass a slow-moving truck. You hit the floorboard with the accelerator. You're going uphill. The engine is loaded. Now you're making it work really, really hard. There's tremendous pressure on the pistons and on the crankshaft and everything. Well, the amount of that pressure that it takes to squeeze the oil from between the crankshaft and the connecting rod, that is the shear strength of the oil. And in many cases, you may find that synthetics can be several hundred times stronger in cases like that than conventional oils. So there's an advantage. And that's one of the reasons why synthetic oils can extend the life of the engine, because there's going to be fewer times during the life of the engine where metal parts will touch one another because the synthetic has such a higher shear strength. So those are things that you want to consider. And synthetic oils are not about extending oil change intervals. They are about better engine protection and longer engine life. And speaking of that, Virgin says, synthetic oils do in fact allow you to change oil less frequently. Oh yeah, okay. Because they retain their viscosity profile longer. Okay, what's that have to do with anything? And they have an additive package to go with that. Okay, so good deal. And most auto owners' manuals reflect that. There are a lot of oil test results online, many sponsored, yes, sponsored, self-sponsored, anyway, sponsored by the AM company. Mobil 1, Castrol are almost always in a virtual tie for first in the results. What do we care about all of this? You know, the interesting thing here, synthetic oils, if you're under warranty, I don't care if the oil will last the life of the car. If you're under warranty, failure to change the oil absolutely could void your engine warranty. Because when you enter into a deal, you buy the car, you are entering into an agreement with the manufacturer as far as the warranty is concerned. Or if you buy an extended warranty, you're probably entering into an agreement with a third party. Now that agreement, part of it is that they say that in order for this warranty to be good, you need to do certain things. And by signing it, you agree that you're going to change the oil as the vehicle manufacturer sees fit. You know, they have specifications. Most cars are 5,000 to 7,500 miles, something like that. Few might go to 10,000, 12 or 13. But these longer oil change intervals on synthetic oils are designed to meet the requirements of those engines that are built to be able to go longer between oil changes. And part of what determines how long the oil can stay in the car is how dirty the engine is. You know, is there a lot of sludge inside the engine? There may be. And certainly if there is, I don't care what kind of oil you put in it, that sludge, some of it is going to contaminate the oil, and the oil can't stay in there as long. The other thing is, take a dozen engines and they'll be set up differently from the factory. They will have different tolerances, and because there are different tolerances, some engines get more dirt from combustion, the carbon and so on, that you get as a result of combustion. More of it will get down into the oil. So you'll have a situation where the oil is contaminated earlier. And all sorts of factors like that. Some engines produce more moisture. You get more moisture inside the crankcase and in the oil. So none of these factors are changed by what oil you put in the crankcase. These are factors that are part of the engine. So, you know, you do whatever you want. It's certainly not for me to try to dictate to you what you're comfortable with. But keep in mind, if you want to keep your car for a long, long time, the ideal thing is to use full synthetic oil and change it at something, well, close to what the vehicle manufacturer recommends. You may go 1,000 or 1,500 miles over that, but if your car says 5,000 miles on the oil change as a maximum, and that's what these numbers mean, they mean do not go beyond that. It's not the optimal time, it is the end time. So 5,000 synthetic, go maybe 6,000, 6,500, something like that. But not while it's under warranty, because you could void your warranty. So, you know, rules are there, I guess, for some of you. Rules are there to be broken, and I don't know. I don't understand. Oil is the cheapest protection you can get. You spend a couple of grand for an extended warranty, yet you won't spend $40 or $60 on an oil change. And keep in mind, even if you have an extended warranty, if you do not keep the oil changed properly, you'll void that warranty too. And believe me, those people are a lot tougher than the vehicle manufacturers, because we work with extended warranties all the time, and they come in and they look. Believe me, they look, and if there's sludge in there or anything that suggests the oil hasn't been changed, the next thing they want to see is certification that you've changed the oil properly. No certification? See ya. No warranty on this engine, folks. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Pat will take your calls next at 844-885-4677. That's 844-885-GOSS. Goss's Garage continues in a moment.
You probably don't think about it, but if you double the life of your car, your fixed expenses per mile will drop 50%. But how can you double the life of a car? Well, that's easy. Simply use BG products and flushes for your routine maintenance. I'll bet you know someone whose cars last a lot longer than yours, plus they never seem to have problems. Now you can enjoy those great savings too. Simply enroll in the BG Protection Plan, and BG will guarantee covered parts for as long as you own your car, in writing. With the BG Protection Plan, long after your car is paid off, you'll still have years of warranty left. Think about it. No payments and no worries about major repair bills. That's amazing. It's almost too good to be true, because the BG Protection Plan is also absolutely free. My cars are covered by the BG Protection Plan. Yours should be too. For details, bgprod.com or 800-327-8883.
This is Goss's Garage with Pat Goss. Call the show now at 844-885-4677. That's 844-885-GOSS. And now, Pat Goss.
For more information on today's topic or any topic about buying, repairing, or selling an automobile, visit goss-garage.com or call our 24-hour listener line at 844-885-4677. David, I alluded to him in the opening of today's show. David says, for one, don't try and use the argument of authority. What does that mean, I wonder? I don't have any authority. I'm not a peace officer or anything of the kind. No authority whatsoever. All I do is I'm here to try to help, giving you information based on thousands of hours of study and 40 years of fixing cars. That's it. Anyway, for one, don't try and use the argument of authority. The argument from expertise is the only reasonable one. Okay, well, I thought that's what I was doing. My expertise is thousands upon thousands upon thousands of cars over the last 40 plus years of being in this business. Now, David, if you have more experience than that, let me know. Let me know what your background is instead of dissing me. And, you know, if you've got more experience and got better information than me, by all means, I will listen to you. Then he's the one that said, good, better, and best. Are you kidding? No, I'm not kidding. Then he goes on, if an engine block is made of iron and you use conventional, and if the block is aluminum, you use synthetic. Wrong. Has nothing to do with what the engine is made of. If it is made of iron, what difference does that make? If it's made of aluminum, what difference does it make? Do you want less protection for your iron engine? And what about the manufacturers that had cast iron blocks and made it mandatory from the factory? They came from the factory with synthetic and require synthetic, all kinds of them. You know, synthetic's been out there since 1974 as far as Mobil 1 is concerned. And there are lots of cars that have iron engines that require synthetic oil. So I don't understand where an argument like that even comes from. I don't understand why you're, am I kidding about good, better, best? No, I'm not kidding. I mean, it's just common sense, for crying out loud. So anyway, if you hear somebody telling you that if you have a cast iron block in the engine in your car, that you don't use synthetic, you only use conventional oil, that's hogwash. Don't believe it. If you have an iron block engine and you want to make it last longer, go up in oil quality. Go from conventional to a blend or to full synthetic, because either one of them is a step up, gives you better protection, makes the engine last longer. If you have an aluminum engine and maybe it doesn't require synthetic oil, but you want it to go the distance, you want to double the life of your engine, then move up to a synthetic blend or a full synthetic. Doesn't make any difference what the engine is made of. Better protection is better protection. Better protection makes the engine last longer, and if you want the engine to last longer, use a synthetic blend, or better yet, use full synthetic oil. What can I say? That's it. And David, I'm sorry to disagree with you, and I'm sorry that you have the attitude that you do, but what the heck. Anyway. Well, we have that good old music telling us that for one more time we have completed Goss's Garage. I certainly want to thank you for listening, and thanks to Steve McMillan, George Stockton, and Chris DePamphilis for producing today's show. For everyone here at Goss's Garage, I'm Pat Goss. Until next time, please, everybody, please drive gently. See you next time.